Good morning, everybody. You are tuned to Computers 2K now on the Nissan Communications Network. I'm Amnon, your host for the next 3 hours, along with Spence.
What?
Morning. Steve is here.
Morning.
Good morning, everybody.
Nick is here.
Hello.
And Mike is here. Boy, full
Full
crew.
house today.
Yeah. Our number is 919-518-9773. Computers 2K Voice on Skype. And this morning show is being brought to you by Adamus.com, makers of quality video recorders and converters for professionals. And also made possible by Telestream Wirecast software. And we are running.
Live.
We're running
So-
from what?
Oh, just running.
Hi-ho platinum away.
So what's going on?
Not much.
Not much? Okay, well, that was a good show.
Everything's fine.
Okay, let me start, you guys. Mike, this is something that you may be able to shed some of your thoughts about. The Norwegian Ministry of Culture has announced that the transition to DAB will be completed in 2017. That's digital audio broadcasting. This means that Norway, as the first country in the world to do so, has decided to switch off the FM network. They're not going to use FM anymore. Norway began the transition to DAB in 1995. In recent years, 2 national and several local DAB networks has been established. 56% of radio listeners use digital radio every day. 55% of households have at least one DAB radio. According to digital radio survey by TNS Gallup, continuously measuring the Norwegians' digital radio habits. So there's something about Norway, and they decided to be the first one. Okay, we're not going to use FM anymore. Now, from what I was reading,
That's because it's so cold up there. They can't use it anymore. It froze.
From what I was reading, I mean, this is still all over the air stuff, though, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just made digital instead of on FM. But
This is all a big hubble over nothing.
Is the
It's like-
range longer?
No, it's
Wow.
it's
So
just
what's the-
digital.
What's the
Well,
big deal?
the only reason they're doing it, and they don't tell you about it, is because they'd be able to sell the spectrum.
Yeah, but what about the equipment? The equipment is not going to receive it.
No, you've got to buy new equipment. Of course,
Right.
every car has got a DAB receiver in it, hasn't it? No.
But they've been transitioning to digital for years.
We look at the population, there's nobody there in comparison to America or even England.
Yeah. It's just not a big deal.
It's like Sweden switching over from left-hand drive to right-hand drive. They did it overnight because there's hardly anybody there.
So moving to digital, how much bandwidth spectrum does it free up, and what are they going to use with the surplus frequencies?
Well, sell it off like they did in the UK. They'll sell off the frequency bandwidth to whoever's the highest bidder.
So how much space does it take? Is it roughly a third of the bandwidth to do digital as it is to do traditional broadcasts frequency width? I read somewhere that it was about that.
Spence, can you raise your audio a bit so you come in line with everybody else? I don't.
Yours is low too, Amnon.
Mine is low too.
Or either Steve's is high.
Well,
I'll
you
sit
you
back
you
from a little
are
bit.
you're good. You're into the yellows, and Nick is into the yellows.
Only you can decide.
Well, I mean, I'm just looking here, but you're saying that you
We don't
hear
have to
me.
do this on the show. We can just
All right.
turn everybody's audio up.
Yeah. Well, so Spence was saying what I was reading, but I don't understand all that thing about the spectrum that they are allocating and all that. It's new. And
Well,
what
I
are
don't
the
know about the specifications and things. The only experience I've got is from what happened here in the UK, which is, things going digital means you've got to buy new equipment. It means that the bottom line of it basically is they free up spectrum that they're unable to sell to the highest bidder, and that's probably why they're doing it. It
What?
doesn't make it any better. You just got to go out and buy a new DAB radio so you can listen to the radio.
Just like you had to go buy a new TV to get digital. Big deal.
Yeah.
well,
They,
no, but you could always get that converter and still work.
well, you could probably get a converter, which would be a digital radio, and feed it into the amplifier in your car, but that seems pretty stupid to do it.
That's I don't know. I mean, yeah, but you have to have again. You're going to have to spend some good money because you have to go to an installer to have it done. It's not like you go to the back of your TV and plug something in. Most people
Obama
cannot.
radios.
The what?
Obama radios.
They were saying that some of the radio stations will probably continue broadcasting in FM and in DAB, and it will be if your radio receives it, then you're going to use the DAB. If your radio doesn't receive it, you would be using the FM.
Oh, well, then who cares?
No, there's
Well,
going to be a
but,
transitional period.
yeah, but only
while
for
they're trying to get
transitional,
everybody to
right.
switch over.
But people that want to have an FM radio in their car and they have older cars, I mean, even cars from today, do they sell cars with DAB radios in Europe, Steve?
Not that I've seen, no. I haven't seen it as even as an option. Not that I've been
Right.
out looking to buy a new car, but I haven't seen it as an option. And I know of people that have bought cars recently and have said, well, you can't pick up the damn radio anymore. So we're still in that transition period where you've got FM and it's being transmitted on FM, but some of the news stations start out only on DAB, because we call it DAB over here, you see, because we're hip.
Yeah.
But it's DAB Plus.
Yeah, there is DAB Plus too,
Wow. See,
which
you know
which
about things that I don't know about.
and DAB Plus is not compatible with DAB either.
No.
Ugh. Wow.
I thought, I mean, when I first saw the headline, I was hoping they're talking about digital and working off of IP. But then
No.
so that it's over the air. So well, that would be
Better not
nice
how
if
you
it
do
was
that.
over IP.
Yeah, except when you don't have any bandwidth left on your cell phone.
Right? Yeah. They would
I
have
used
to do
listen
something.
Spotify in the car, but it was terrible.
But they'll have the FM spectrum, you see. They'll be selling that to the cell phone providers at the highest bidder. Sorry, I keep on about this, but that's just one thing that really annoys me, that they free up spectrum and then sell it. Well, where's the money going to go?
Well,
But-
look at what they're doing with the wireless microphone spectrum in the United States. I bought a 700 megahertz wireless microphone system, sorry about the noise, hang on a second. Paid $700, $750 for the system, and never used it. Then the FCC eliminated 700 megahertz, so I had to upgrade the system for about $350, and still haven't used it. And I decided when I bought my new Canon camera, I ought to get a portable wireless receiver. I bought a portable wireless receiver. I believe it was about $200. And I just read last week the FCC is getting ready to eliminate the 600 megahertz band.
Did you get the feeling that people don't like you, Mike?
I've known that for years.
And you're talking about a microphone system that works over very short distances, right? What would happen
Correct.
if you keep using the 700?
Well, two things. If the FCC found out about it, they would fine you. And the second thing is that there are other services using that spectrum, so you don't get any audio through. And they're higher powered.
Okay.
But it's thought to be about 4 years before the major transition, meaning that I can sell this to someone and probably get a fair price out of it. And if they're actively using it, if they want to replace or have a system compatible with what they have, they'll get 4 years out of it and have their money's worth. In fact, they beat these things to death in sometimes 1 to 2 years.
Interesting.
But I should have known better at the time.
Oh, well. Coulda, woulda, shoulda.
Yeah.
Well, good luck, Norway. Anyway, let's hope you're very successful with it and it runs nice and smoothly, unlike over here.
Yeah.
Here's another interesting story that was circulating I saw it on TV and then I was reading. Automakers are supporting provisions in copyright law that could prohibit home mechanics and car enthusiasts from repairing and modifying their own vehicles. In comments filed with the federal agency that will determine whether tinkering with a car constitutes a copyright violation, OEM and their main lobbying organizations say cars have become too complex and dangerous for consumers and third parties to handle. The dispute arises from a section of the Digital Millennium Copyright Act that no one thought could apply to vehicles when it was signed into law in 1998. But now in an era where cars are rolling computing platforms, the U.S. Copyright Office is examining whether provisions of the law that protect intellectual property could prohibit people from modifying and tuning their cars. So now they're saying all the software in your car is not yours to do anything with. It's just like when you buy a piece of software and you cannot change anything in it. It's copyrighted by us. What the hell?
Well, I'm not saying I agree with what they're saying, but I understand why, because you're talking about a system that typically is not modified by the consumer. Most shade tree mechanics don't change the engine management system software on their car.
Right.
But now it's not just engine management anymore. It's everything is controlled by software. So you've got the dashboard display system, all these things that they're very low, but I'm having trouble adjusting my mic.
Well, but I mean, it's my car, and if I want to screw it up, I'll screw it up. What was the difference? So before it was a carburetor, and if I wanted to play with the carburetor and mess it up, so be it. Then I'm going to have to pay the dealer to go ahead and put it back the way it was supposed to be. What's the difference here? I mean, it's still my car. They're saying as though this is not your car. You bought it, but we own all the software. Does that make sense?
I didn't sign a EULA as far as I know when I bought my car.
Who knows?
I suspect you did.
I bet I did. Don't modify.
I mean, you want to know the legal answer, or you want to just sit here and...
No, I'm looking for a legal answer. I mean, we can rant all day long about this, and people will keep on doing this because the final thought about it was they're not going to enforce it, and they can't enforce it really.
Well,
but
actually they can, because what they would look for would be the large-scale modifiers. But let me ask you some questions, because this is the Socratic method, which is often the method best used to understand the law, because just citing the law will make your eyes glaze over. So asking you a few questions, you purchased Microsoft Windows, okay?
Right.
And you go into that program and decide to make modifications to the operating system.
Right.
Can you do that?
You cannot right now.
Why?
Because the code is not, you don't have the source code, but you can do certain changes through configurations.
Well,
they
those
give
are
you
authorized changes.
The what?
Those are authorized changes.
Correct. If you
can you legally go into Microsoft executable files and make modifications to those executable files?
I don't think so.
System?
I don't think so, because you don't own it.
Okay, so who owns it?
Microsoft.
Well, then what did you pay for?
When I bought it, I knew that that's how it was.
But what did you buy?
I bought
You bought permission to use their operating system.
Correct.
You didn't buy the operating system itself. With the car, you're buying the car itself. You're not buying the permission to use. If you were, that would be like if you were renting the car, I could see you not being able to make modifications.
But see, that's wrong. See, when you bought, let's say, think old school for a moment, to keep it simple, when you bought CDs that had Microsoft Windows 98 on it, you own those discs. You don't own the program. If you owned the program, you could have sold copies to it. What you bought was a license to use that program.
Correct.
The license terms that you agree to when you open that package say that you are using their software, that you don't own it. As part of the condition of them agreeing to license that software to you, you agree not to modify or reverse engineer it. Otherwise, you're in violation of two issues. The first is you're making an unauthorized modification of copyrighted software. The second thing is you're violating the terms of the license agreement. If a car manufacturer wants to put firmware into a computer module, and if they choose to license it to anyone who drives that car, it is identically the same arrangement as Microsoft licensing Windows to you. Same thing. It's exactly the same thing.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm having a problem with that, but yeah, legally, I understand what you're saying. Yeah.
Right. But I mean, look at the effectiveness of copyright laws. It stopped all illegal downloading.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's completely eradicated. Nobody does it worldwide now.
Right.
And nobody tries to get into Netflix from Australia, for instance, because
right.
You know, it's all available everywhere in the world at the same time.
Well, and the other thing is, okay, you own it. Then 10 years from now, when my computer goes bad in the car, you better replace it if it's bad.
No, they don't have the obligation to replace it.
It's theirs. It's not mine.
The software never goes bad.
Your license is still in effect. It's just that their software is rubbish.
No. If your car runs for a year on the firmware that's built in,
Yeah.
and 5 years later it fails, the software didn't go bad.
The firmware did. The hardware
didn't
did.
go bad. It didn't. Nobody got in there and changed the code.
Somebody
the module.
could come in and hack it, in which
Well,
case
that's
it
not
would
what we're
break
talking
it.
about. That's not what we're talking about, though. We're talking about Amnon, if you take Microsoft here, and this is a perfectly valid comparison.
Here's I'll tell you exactly what I'm talking about.
Well, I was getting ready to
Right
do
now, your operating system screws up. What do?
that. Reinstall it.
How do you do it in a car?
You have to go to a shop and they reflash the firmware.
And is it going to cost?
The shop's going to charge you, but
Well,
not
you see, that's the thing. If I can just flash it, I'm not changing the operating system. I'm not fooling around with it. All I'm doing is I'm taking what you sold me originally and put it in there again because it somehow got screwed up.
That's not a copyright violation to do that.
Right.
You have a license to do that. You have a license to use it,
But you don't have the tools.
We can argue over this, but
right. No, I understand, and I'm going back to. Yeah, I'm not arguing with you.
Yeah, you are. Hang on.
No.
So someone brings you a computer because their system is trashed, and the only solution is to reinstall Windows 7.
Right.
They pay you to do that. What's the difference?
They don't have to. Right. They don't have to pay for Windows again because they have the disk. Hopefully.
They have a license to it.
Right.
So then you use their license to reinstall their operating system.
Right.
Same thing.
But most people do it themselves.
Well, that's irrelevant. If you want to learn, particularly if you want to learn how to flash the firmware on the computer module on your car, you can go on YouTube and watch a video and you can do it.
Yeah. Well, and I want to be able to do it, but according to what I'm reading, you can't.
Wrong. You can. You can reinstall the firmware for which you have a license in a computer module that you own. You absolutely can. That
Okay.
is the purpose of the license.
Okay.
What they're talking about is modifying it.
Correct.
How's my mic level? Is that better?
A little bit.
Let me
Still
Sounds a bit
muddy.
better. Sounds a bit better to me. Give you
Yeah.
an example of it. A prime example between the manufacturers and us, the consumer, is the PlayStation with Sony. It used to be able to run Linux on it. They decided to take away that ability, even though it was advertised as having that ability. They were perfectly within their rights, legally it seems, to take away the ability to run Linux, or Linux, however you want to pronounce that. And the consumer was tough luck, suck it up. And that's the way it seems to be going. The way it's heading is that you only own the equipment and a license to use whatever is in there that's software orientated, and if they want to change it on a whim, they can. And that's quite scary, in my opinion.
I think that the days of adjusting what they call the performance chip or the engine management chip in your car, which for the last 20 years or so has been something people can play with. They can buy a chip with different software on it and replace it and flash it or whatever in your car. It's much more complicated than that, and I understand why you might change. You might go ahead and change something that it is illegal to change, like emission systems. People do that anyway, I realize, but for
Right.
performance reasons. But I'm not saying, like I said, I'm not saying I agree with the decision, what they're saying, but I understand the complexities of it. As long as I can still change the oil, do my tune-up, replace parts, run the OBD software to figure out what's broken, I'm okay, because I'm not going to modify anything.
Yeah. I mean, what if I want to put Linux on it instead of GM?
Well, you can turn your car into one that drives itself.
I mean, and will they be? You said something, Steve?
I was going to say, all you've got to do is install Chrome OS and it turns into an EV that drives itself. Exactly right, Sven.
But there's one thing I had a thought about as we were talking about this was, remember when they first started talking about putting a flashable software, in other words, an operating system on a car over purpose-built individual control devices. Like you had a controller for the air conditioning, you had a controller for engine management, you had another controller for something else in the car. Now it's all part of essentially a network in the car. They've built a network.
Yeah, it can.
They've got sensors, they've got all this stuff is interacting. If you change something, I mean, you're out there in the morning, well, hey, I can't boot my car for some reason. It won't, this sensor's bad, so now do I have to change? Maybe the ROM battery went it's now the car is essentially a software device that controls hardware. So it's a whole different technology. Look at what they can do with a car now as far as longevity too, and just reliability compared to just 20 years ago. No tune-ups for 100,000 miles. Why is that? It's because of engine management systems. Being able to fine-tune the spark, being able to fine-tune the mixture so that the components last much longer.
That's true. In some cases, it makes a lot more sense not to touch and leave things alone.
One thing
But
that was a byproduct of the Clean Air Act was changes to cars, and I know that a lot of people feel that manufacturers could be making cars that get even higher mileage. And while I agree with that to an extent, I think it's a trade-off to get what we have today. You've got cars that can get 50 miles to the gallon hybrids, but there's only so much energy that's in a gallon of gasoline, and energy that can propel a 2,000 to 3,000 pound vehicle forward. You can't make it. You can make it burn more efficiently, but you can't increase the amount of energy that 1 gallon of gasoline produces. It's a fixed number. It's just how efficiently you convert it. So
and the thing is, this is not coming from the government that says that then the reason is not because you can change the emission and stuff. Because the I don't think the manufacturer could care less. I think it's more get business to the dealer instead of you doing it under a tree in the backyard, which today you can't really do that. To get more business for the dealers, which are losing, but we're
It's turning it
digressing.
more into a walled garden, isn't it? So you have to take it back to the dealer. You can't do it yourself
Yep.
Because you don't have the right equipment or
Correct.
plug-in thing. You got to take it to the dealer so he can plug it in and find out what's wrong.
Yeah.
Okay, but to be fair, I mean it's similar to people saying, why do lawyers charge so much money? They're greedy rascals. Why do they charge $400 an hour to do this work? And my answer is, you know what? If you feel that way about it, you really shouldn't even hire a lawyer. You should go over to the law library and start studying and do it your darn self. I wouldn't pay it either. Some of them get it.
I think that the government, you said it's not coming from the government, but there are initiatives coming from the government that we do need to worry about. And that is, for example, taxing your vehicle based on how many miles you drive. Monitoring where you go, monitoring your speed through onboard systems and reporting that up to authorities.
But Spence, if you're not doing anything illegal, what is there to worry
Oh
about?
no, but that's not how it ends. I mean, it gets to the point where, all right, does it have a software that say it only reports it when I violate it, or does it have software that says it reports everything no matter what? So now
let me
that
guess.
information can get hacked, and now the insurance company can say, well, you said you only drive 15 miles a day to work, but we see you're driving 20 miles a day to work, so we're going to raise your rates.
Yep.
So it's that same slippery slope again. It's a whole NSA argument now for your car.
Alan, the answer to your question is what is illegal is whatever the government decides is illegal. So,
Or the terms of service to the whichever it is you're talking about.
speaking of privacy issues, you may or may not be aware that if you use Facebook, if you go into Facebook, someone posts something really moronic, you decide to counter it, you type it in, but then you have a change of mind and decide not to post it, Facebook has still captured it.
Mm-hmm.
Even if you don't hit the post button, they captured what you wrote into that window.
Right.
So Amnon,
Scary,
every time you write, die you gravy sucking pig. It's picked up.
They have it in, and I thought about something else too this past week. When you look at how many people have Gmail accounts, and Google admits to reading people's Gmail accounts, can you imagine what kind of power these guys have knowing everybody? They even have Hillary's email. They have all email. They've got email of probably 75% of the country. Can you imagine what they know about people?
And the other scary part about it is they're getting more in bed with the government.
They could not be any more in bed with the government.
Oh no, they're saying they've got advisors now that were hired from Google to work for the federal government in the White House.
If anyone's really scared about, from what Mike said there regarding Facebook and they capture what you type in, even if you don't send it, a simple method to that is to one that I use. And yes, I am fairly paranoid about things. Notepad is your friend. Write it in Notepad, get it worded right and phrased properly, then copy and paste it when you're finished and you know you absolutely want to send what you want to send. And then they will only know what you actually wanted to say.
Amnon, I have an idea. We'll create a one-time pad cipher that we'll use every day for all communications, so that when you type something, it'll all be essentially gibberish, and you'll have to have on the far end, you'll have to use that day's pad cipher to figure out what the message is. That's just more work. That's all.
Just scary when you think about it. I was reading an article the other day. I don't know where it was, but it was saying that with all this computer control in cars now and GPS and everything else, that insurance companies are going to be able to tell what speed you were doing, where you've been, and where you've thought of going, and everything else. And they can then charge the insurance rates accordingly, which that's pretty scary. But also the fact that with cars and the technology in them nowadays, they can actually turn your car off if they want to. I think Tesla in their EV car has got that facility now where it can just turn it off and you just coast to a halt. That's pretty scary.
And what would happen if you're trying to outrun a tsunami or a pyroclastic flow and they turn off your car?
Yeah, I mean, they're not going to be able to see. Well, I suppose they would be able to see if all the cameras and everything that they've got. But if you're in the middle of overtaking somebody and they turn the power off,
or if you're in the middle of a highway going 75 miles an hour.
Well, they don't turn it off to the point where you screech to a halt. They
No,
just turn the engine off and then you coast.
Yeah, you're in the middle lane of the 6-lane highway. You're going 75 miles an hour, and now you've got to get over to the shoulder.
I would like to think that they're not doing it from somewhere where they cannot see the car, and if somebody is doing something and they're going 100 miles an hour on the highway and there are no other cars around, then yeah, you can slow them down or turn it off.
No, the second that Tesla does that and somebody dies, that'll be the end of that. So that's exactly what's going to happen. Somebody's going to shut off a car. It's going to be on a major freeway. They're going to swerve and they're going to kill like 15 people. And that's going to be
I think we talked about it before, and Andrew found some information about it, like he's putting there that about leasing and renting, that the only time that they can actually turn it off is when it's parked.
Yeah, they're not. No, of course. I mean, could you imagine them? They're just turning off your car while you're driving it. You swerve and kill everybody.
Yeah,
and you're including yourself.
Right.
If it's if there's a police chase, I suppose, and they could activate onboard cameras and things. If they're heading towards a town or a city, and at the moment they're on a country road, ideal opportunity for them to avoid any.
I don't think there's any ideal opportunity to turn off a car when somebody's in there. I mean, yeah, they may be outrunning the police, but is it worth killing them? I mean, because guess what's going to happen? You're going to lose your power steering if they turn off that car. It's not like your engine's just going to stop. They're going to kill all the power. There goes your power steering. You're screwed.
Well, you need to ask the law enforcement officer. Notice I didn't call them policemen.
Come on, Andrew. What do you have to say?
Good morning.
Morning.
Oh, hello.
What they're trying to propose is, this is for people who have their car's about to get towed and repossessed, and they can't locate the car. So if you lease or finance a car and you stop making payments, and you got to not pay for 6 months for them to want to tow your car. What they want to do is not shut it off when you're running, but they want to be able to say, okay, well, this car can't turn on. So he's not going to be able to hide the car anywhere. That's what they want to do, not shut it off, when you're in the middle of, driving the car, obviously. They just want to prevent the car from starting. If the car is running, then they're not going to be able to turn it off.
So who has the moral authority then to decide, can the system be abused? Can it be used for revenge? That's all. The technology exists. Somebody will hack it.
It's not your car. If you're making payments for it, the bank is a partial owner of the car, so it's the bank's responsibility.
Oh no, I'm not arguing that. I'm saying they have a right to do it. I'm saying, what about the people who don't have a right to do it, who hack the system?
Sure, with anything, right?
Just came out more Russian hacking into White House email servers.
You know what's going to happen next? We're not going to be. They're going to say that you cannot use anything that uses Wi-Fi in the car because it may affect the navigation.
Yeah.
Just like in airplanes.
All the cars moving. Please turn off any devices.
Yeah,
is there going to be a Russian?
The story was, glorified in a lot of the articles saying they're going to shut off your car. Well, if you don't pay your gas bill, what do? They shut off your gas bill. If you don't pay your electric bill, they shut off your electric. So technically, they should be able to shut off your car.
but
Technically.
it's the remote access part of it I have a problem with. The
They're
meter
remotely
guys
shutting
gotta
off your
come to the
gas.
house.
No, they're not. They have to come and shut off.
Yeah, but it's not necessarily right at your house.
Yeah, it is.
Imagine.
Not with electric, it's not. They're coming to turn it off your meter?
Yeah, they have to come. They can't turn it off remotely, not yet.
No, they have to come physically and turn it off.
Yeah. Now imagine this future. You're in the car, you're driving along, you've paid your bills, you're up to date, and all of a sudden in that display screen in front of you, it pops up and says, you have been infected with this Russian virus. You need to pay us $50 to continue. Please enter your credit card number.
I mean, that could happen now. All these operating systems in these cars is running QNX. If there's a vulnerability in QNX, it's connected. I mean, a lot of these have Wi-Fi connection. Can't they, do it now? It's possible.
I would think so.
Interesting.
I mean, every operating system can be exploited, like our power grid.
Listen, I think we should all stick to like 79, Monte Carlos with a push rod engines. We should just stick with that. No fancy schmancy stuff.
Yeah, the fanciest piece of control in that car would be the voltage regulator.
Yeah. A few.
A relay.
If it doesn't have a distributor and points, I don't want one.
Did
I
you
don't
say?
think it really. I don't really think it really matters being worried about it. I mean, does it like we have any control over it?
Yeah, it's not that we can do anything about it.
Like, what are you gonna do? Just stop? What are you gonna refuse to drive? All right, good luck. See you later. Good luck with living in modern society.
Listen, it may be a good thing. It may encourage people to, not buy cars that they can't afford with the fear of having it shut off and they can't get to where they're going.
Yeah, God bless those old diesel mechanical cars.
Yeah.
There is no way to turn it off electronically. No way.
I had a friend. This guy, I mean, he's not really a great guy. He used to make some money. He stopped making some money, and he stopped making payments on his car, and he was hiding his car for months. They couldn't find him for almost a year. They could not locate his car, and he didn't make one payment.
Yeah, there are situations where you would say, "I wish I had that," but again, like the guys are saying, yeah, not when it's driving on the highway.
No, there's gonna have to be some sort of
Right. Right.
common sense put into that.
Yeah.
Yeah, can you imagine?
All right.
Now, if you look at the Progressive commercials, they're talking about putting a chip where it tells the insurance company how fast you're driving and who's driving, and you could actually regulate the speed of the car for certain drivers. That's becoming a big thing, and you're being encouraged, and you're given incentives if you're a better driver.
It's
So
kind of
they're
like
able, I mean, right now they have the technology to do that on any car. If you have, if you have a cell phone. And people doing it proudly. They have no problem sending the information to the insurance company.
Well, therein lies the problem. The two words you mentioned there is very hard to find nowadays. People with common sense. If it's down to somebody with common sense, not many people have it anymore.
Yeah, that's not easy to come by.
I don't know if that's a good thing. I mean, if you have one of these, what is it, OBD adapters where it'll tell the computer to kind of to regulate it. Don't go over 75 miles an hour, and you got a teenager. Do you think that's a good thing or a bad thing to do that?
Well, I didn't want my daughter to go over. I didn't want her to, so I got her an underpowered car.
Yeah. Hey, you got her a slow car. That's all.
Yeah, that's it. All right, and Andrew, you have a Mac, right?
I do.
A recently disclosed flaw in iOS 8, dubbed No iOS Zone, allows an attacker to create a Wi-Fi hotspot that will cause iOS devices to become unstable, crash, and reboot, even when in offline mode. Adi Sharabani and Yair Amit of SkyCure, sounds like an Israeli company, are working with Apple for a fix. But for now, the only workaround is to simply not be in range of such a malicious network. So if somebody is running an iOS 8, they can create that network that will disable all iOS, not just iOS 8, around them. And that's kind of scary. And why couldn't Apple find out their solution right away? Sounds, I don't know. But if
Well,
you're
essentially what it does is it's a Wi-Fi. It creates a Wi-Fi hotspot that will launch a DDoS on the devices around it.
oh, is that what it's doing?
It's doing a DDoS attack on the phones around it.
Yeah, well, if it's a DDoS, there's not much I can do, I guess.
Yeah. I mean that's what I had understood when I read the article.
And D-Link is having problems. D-Link has issued an apology to its customers for an ongoing security issue with many of its routers. A problem with the Home Network Administration Protocol, HNAP, means that it is possible to bypass authorization and run commands with escalated privileges. The list of routers affected by the issue is fairly lengthy, and D-Link has already issued one patch, but rather than fixing the problem, last week update left routers wide open to exactly the same problem. As it stands at the moment, a firmware patch is still being produced for a total of 17 routers. In the meantime, D-Link has to offer. In the meantime, all D-Link has to offer is an apology. While unhelpful patches have already been issued, D-Link is currently working away on replacement firmware updates. The release dates for these patches is not yet set in stone, but some are due on today. This is from April 20th, some tomorrow, and the remainder on 24th of April. So I don't know if anybody is using a D-Link. I'm sure they are. I don't know
Are
if
we
you've got
talking about remote access management or local network management?
Home Network Administration Protocol.
Okay, so it's not a remote access port, not somebody
Right.
who's going to find your router and break into your router.
Well,
from the
they
internet
could.
side.
No, that's
From the
exactly
internet side?
that's exactly what they're saying. It says mean that it is possible to bypass authorization and run commands with escalated privilege. Do they mean somebody locally can do that?
When they're attached to the local network, or when they see a public IP address and they hit that router and they get in that. That's the question. If it's a local,
Yeah.
you have to be on the Wi-Fi or directly connected to the network, then it's not such a big deal because most homes don't give out
Good point.
Wi-Fi.
Good point.
If you have Wi-Fi, so it depends. If it's a remote access issue, yes, it's a big deal. But if it's
It doesn't mention it here, so that's a good point.
I'm gonna see
Yeah,
if I
I
can find some
see.
information.
Yeah, then now I see it in a whole different light. Yeah, you're right. You have to be on the network or on the Wi-Fi. You have to be allowed into the network first, and then you can do that. Interesting. But I mean, how do they update these things without a user interaction? A lot of people don't register their routers, so D-Link does not have their email to tell them, hey, there's an update. It's almost like it's up to people like us and the user to just be aware that there is something going on. So if you're using a D-Link, go to the site, find out if your router is part of this, and see if there is a patch. They were saying that the 24th, which already passed, was when all the patches should have been out.
Now, an article I see, it's from a few months ago, says remote access vulnerabilities in D-Link routers remain unpatched. This is from February 27th. So it's over a month ago.
Well, if you look maybe for D-Link and HNAP, maybe that will.
Yeah.
And they do say that it's an ongoing security issue. It's not something new. But a lot of people are using D-Link. A lot of people are using D-Link. It's
So
not
the remote access issue is only an issue if you have WAN management enabled on the router. So, interesting.
Yep. Yeah.
I don't have any D-Link routers anymore. Not that I got rid of them because there was of this issue. Just that the ones I had were older, and I've replaced them. I have TP-Link as my main router that's connected to my cable modem, and then I have a Netgear N router that is used only as an access point. It does not do DHCP or the routing function is turned off essentially.
Yep. Let's see what else. Windows XP. Well, iTunes users who still run Windows XP started to experience connectivity issues this week. As documented in an Apple support communities thread, they can't log into the iTunes store, meaning functions like buying content, watching already purchased movies and TV shows, playing DRM protected contents, backing up, updating, and syncing all do not work. So if you're on XP, you can't do a lot of stuff on iTunes, which is
This is stupid. No, Andrew, listen to this though. People have their home media PCs. These things may be
Right.
5-6 years old. Those
Yeah.
are still running XP, I'm sure.
yeah.
Why is iTunes isolating them?
You could upgrade to Windows 7 if you're running a home media PC. You should be running Windows 7.
I
And
think
the
that's
people that are
ridiculous.
running those home medias that haven't updated, they're probably running what's that application? Media Center.
Media Center's XP.
It's Windows 7 also.
Well, if they haven't built it in the last 3 or 4 years, then it's probably Windows XP.
Listen, it's not Google's doing that. Google's shutting down YouTube service on these set-top boxes that are old, even their own. You're not going to be able to watch YouTube videos. This is how you want people to move forward. XP is 14 years old now. It's over. Game over. Time to upgrade. Go to Windows 7.
Pay attention, all you cash dispensing machines. It's over.
They upgraded all of them. You know, they're all those. Every
ATMs.
one of them have gotten an upgrade that I've seen.
No more blue screens of death. Wonderful.
Andrew, you want to talk about your phone a little bit?
Yeah, sure.
What phone do you have?
I have the Samsung Galaxy S6.
And how long have you had it?
I've had it for 2 weeks now.
Okay. So you had what phone did you have before this? The
Well, I have a
LG
OnePlus.
G2?
I still have my OnePlus.
Uh-huh.
That's on my AT&T account, and I had an LG G2 on my Verizon.
So how does this compare to those?
Much better. It's a very, very good phone. The camera is stellar. It's super fast. The latest version of Android is very stable also. It's just it's a very good phone. It's a very, good-looking phone. The problem is the battery life.
How long?
The battery life is not great, and
What
it's a smaller battery also.
What is not great?
So there's a little glitch with it where the phone is constantly searching for Wi-Fi networks, even when you're connected to a Wi-Fi network. So if you look at the battery, the thing that drains the most is self-standby, and that's pretty much self-standby is pretty much just it constantly pinging the Wi-Fi or the radio to find reception. So if you're in a bad reception area, it's really aggressive to find service, so it'll totally drain the battery.
I had that problem with my Note 2. at school, it's like a total dead zone. So you go from like
totally kills it.
you go from like 1 bar of 4G to Edge to no
Yeah.
service to 3G, and the battery would go from like 100% in the morning to like 60% by 10 o'clock because it's just.
So that's almost like what happens. So like right now I just unplugged it, and it'll probably use 4% an hour of just cell standby is taking 4% an hour.
That's awful. See, this iPhone, I'll bring it to, I'll take it off the charger around 6:30, and it sometimes won't drop below 100% before 8.
Yeah.
You just in standby.
Look at it this way, right? If I do nothing with this phone, I just let it sit, it's going to, at bare minimum, within 10 hours of it just sitting here, with me not even using no phone calls, I'm going to be down below 60% of battery life.
Here's the thing, Andrew. I pulled my phone off the charger at 8:45 when the alarm went off to get up for the show. It's still at 100%.
Yeah, so I just took it off. Look, I just dropped 2%. I'm at 98%.
Yeah, no, this phone's been at 100% since. For about an hour.
There's a problem. Samsung is aware of it, and they're going to send out a fix, and they're going to work. They're fixing that. But you know what's interesting? Samsung has their own app store.
Yeah, it's not good.
And I've always been against those things where the manufacturer has their app store, but they do something interesting with their app store. They send out updates to core OS features that Samsung has in this version of Android.
Mm-hmm.
And they fix a lot of the bugs that way. So like there was a camera update that fixed something with the shutter. So you don't have to wait for a major release from, to be over the air for that. If it's like a key component within their apps, the Samsung apps, like Samsung's app, I'll give you like a core OS app that Samsung is using, like their camera app. That's Samsung's application.
Yeah.
They're not using the Android stock camera. They're using Samsung's camera. They constantly send out updates and stuff like that, which I like a lot. I like that a lot. So here's another little tiny issue. Yesterday, I wanted to buy something on my phone. Nick, by the way, I bought a $400 power washer with your Amazon link today.
Oh, perfect. Thank you.
So I have here are the apps. You cannot uninstall these.
Yes. Yeah.
So, right, you can disable some of these apps, but you cannot uninstall them. So watch what happens when I click on Amazon.
Oh, nice.
Okay? I can't uninstall Amazon to fix this problem.
So you can't even use the Amazon app on your phone?
I can't use the Amazon app because it keeps crashing. And that's kind of crappy,
And not
Now, if you go to the App Store, you should be able to roll that app back.
I guess I can roll it back, but
That's what you'll have to do, and then install the latest version.
and
That
install
might
the
fix
latest
it.
version. But I mean that's the only inconvenience with going with not a Google branded phone.
But that's pretty crappy though.
That is crappy, but there are perks. I mean, the camera. So within the camera app, you have different modes of shooting.
Mm-hmm.
Here's some of the modes that you have,
All right.
depending on the.
You can shoot a GIF.
So you can shoot a GIF. You can shoot.
That's
all these
interesting.
things. But you could also download different types of shooting methods.
Mm-hmm.
So they have. Let me go to the rear-facing camera for. Are you guys interested in this, or am I boring you?
No, I think this is cool.
Okay, so you could download different things like food shots, sound and shot, dual camera, animated GIFs, beautiful face, which kind of like fixes your face up a little bit.
Okay.
Surrounding shots, sport shots. So these are all applications that you could download to incorporate within your camera.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, the camera's great. The battery life is not so great. That's the only issue I have with this right now. The front-facing camera is stellar also. It's a very good front-facing camera.
And how much was that?
The phone?
Yeah.
It's rolled in. It's the Edge plan. So
Oh.
I'm actually saving money by going with this. The Verizon's Edge plan. I know Mike did a lot of research in this when he was looking to get a new phone. I'm saving about $10 a month now by getting this phone because they kind of incorporate in your monthly payments, but they also give you a significant discount when you get an Edge phone.
Okay.
I mean, it's a good phone. I also got Lollipop on my OnePlus One.
What flavor?
Watermelon, actually. watermelon flavored. So that's my little review of this phone. But it is amazing how outdated these phones feel after a year or so. You know, like I got this phone a year and a half ago, and it is totally outdated now.
That's the LG?
The LG. I mean, it feels like you don't really notice it until you go to a newer phone, but I mean, these things are getting bigger and faster and more efficient, and I mean, every 6 months the phones are getting so much better. You know what it feels like, Amnon? You remember, like, in the early 2000s, what it was like with the computer wars, like the megahertz wars?
Right.
Where from 1999 to 2001, we were just, every 6 months we were going up like 400 megahertz.
Yep.
That's almost like what it's like. I remember I bought an HP in 1999. It was a 700 megahertz HP. And then that was late 98, early 99, something like that. And within, 8 months, we doubled the speed. We were over a gigahertz.
Yep, that's why I always told people don't buy a computer for 2-3 years from now. Buy it for today.
Yeah. That's what it was like. I mean, it's almost like that with the phones now. Where these phones, this is an 8-core CPU in the phone.
Oh, boy. Jeez.
8 cores. And you know what? You need it. You need it.
No, you don't.
You do. You do, Nick. You followed me.
Yeah. No, you're multitasking. You're doing a video chat. You do need it.
You need it. It's crazy to think that, but these have become really powerful. So, this is the other thing. You can have multiple apps running in the Windows.
Yeah, you could. Yeah, you can do like dual screening.
Yeah. So let me see if I can do that. I don't think every app supports it. Like, let me see if I could do Hangouts.
8 cores on a phone.
It's amazing what they can pack into such a small device. The thing that concerns me is that it's getting to the point where the technological feats that they're managing to cram into such a tiny device isn't being kept up with by the battery. It's getting to the point where you're going to have to charge it up at lunchtime, charge it up before you go home in the evening, and then charge it up when you go to bed.
So here's an example.
Yeah.
So here is my main screen on Android, on the desktop, I guess, and look, it's a floating app. My text
That's
message.
just like on a desktop.
Just like a desktop. You can also do split mode, where it splits
Wow.
the screen with all your applications. So,
I missed
for
that.
example, you're texting and you're looking up map directions at the same time on the screen.
Yeah.
Or you're doing a Google Hangout and you see me and I'm like, oh, let me look up a Twitter. I could pull Twitter up and snap it on the screen. The only thing, Nick, and I was one of these people for a long time that was against these large displays, anything over 5.2 inch displays on phones. So my OnePlus is 5.5 inches. This is 5.2. I feel it's a little too small.
Okay.
So if I were to compare these, I don't know if you could see it.
They need to come up with a cable that you can connect your phone to your older computer and harness the power.
Here. So here's the difference. I don't know if you could see it or not.
Yeah, a little bit.
A little bit. I kind of like the bigger display. Because now with these snapping apps and you can kind of have, multitasking happening, you kind of want as much real estate as you could possibly get. I do like the health monitoring, so I could test my heart rate on this, and it works really well. So you can put your finger right back there,
That's cool.
and it'll give you your vitals.
Is it a sensor just for that?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. So that's in their S Health package. So, which that's cool if you're into kind of tracking how you're doing. So it counts your steps like every other phone. Nothing crazy there. It'll do it, but it also knows when you start running. So if you're running and you're walking, it knows the difference. You can't kind of fool it. So yesterday I was working out and I got my heart rate up to 152. So it knows you know, afterwards you test it and it'll say like, oh, you worked out, so it knows that you worked out.
So did you get Fi installed on? I mean, service on it?
Do I what?
Did you get Fi? The
No,
Google?
Fi is not available yet.
It's not.
No,
I thought they were saying it was.
no. Fi service is not available yet. They're in. I don't even know if they're doing testing yet. You could apply.
Yeah, did you apply?
I did apply. Yeah. So the Fi service is interesting. You know, the pricing isn't amazing, but
No, it's not.
but that's not the point. I think the point is that it gives you the freedom to go to them, and I think a lot of people are going to go to them. You know, use their service.
Yeah, I mean, you're sticking with Google.
Nick, tell the audience about it.
About what?
Fi.
Google's cell.
Yeah.
It's just Google's new cell phone network that they're trying out.
They become a carrier. They become a cell phone carrier.
Yeah, there's nothing really much at this point. There's nothing really much to say because they literally just announced it. But the interesting thing that they're doing is they're using Sprint and T-Mobile.
But they
So
do
what it's
both
gonna
CDMA and
what'd you say?
Sprint is CDMA.
Yeah. So, but the interesting thing that they're doing is what they're doing is in real time, depending on which you have better service of, either it be Sprint or T-Mobile, it's switching in real time. So if Andrew's got better at his house right now, if he's got better Sprint service, it'll use Sprint. If he goes 3 blocks over and T-Mobile is better there, it's going to switch over to T-Mobile. So it's giving you a little bit of reliability. Now the problem is Sprint and T-Mobile both are awful in a lot of areas.
They're awful, but you know
So-
what it is? Two awfuls can make a decent provider.
Yeah, and that's exactly what's going to be. The only problem I see with that is how is continuous data connection going to work when you're switching between towers? Because your IP address is going to constantly be changing. Like they're going to have to figure that out. Like how are you going to be able to stream radio?
But doesn't it change? No, because they're almost like relays. They act as relays. That's interesting.
So I don't know what they're
You know
doing.
why? Because I'll tell you what they're going to do. Because you're going to have one IP, and that's going to be provided by Google.
That's what
maybe.
That's what I was thinking, is that you're going to have a Google IP and the other IPs are going to change along the road, which makes no difference to any.
Yeah, because they're going to have to do something with that.
Yeah, true.
Did you see the pricing for this? I'm trying
Yeah,
to-
so basically the 3 gig plan is going to be a little over $50 a month. And that's with taxes and stuff like that, which I mean, like you said, Andrew, it's not a great price.
Okay, so but you know who this is going to be good for?
The single person.
Prepaid. It's prepaid.
See, if I wasn't on a family plan, I would probably go with that because the benefit of being on AT&T, Verizon, or Sprint is they've got really good family plans. Like you can have 4 phones for like $120 a month.
Yeah.
That's a good deal. But for a single person to be on Sprint, T-Mobile, or AT&T, you're kind of getting screwed. So this is if you're alone and dealing with your own cell phone service and you don't have anybody else on your plan, maybe that's when you start looking at this.
So yeah, like but the other thing is you're going to be able to kind of there's no contract.
Yeah, exactly.
So you essentially you're not tied down to the carrier. You buy a phone, you pick the phone, you just bring it over. It's actually like right now I have an AT&T Go plan on my OnePlus that I pay the prepaid.
Mhm.
I just don't want to sign a contract, and I probably pay a little bit more now because I don't know, I don't know how much it would be if I were to just get a plan from AT&T. How much would it be?
Their prepaid plan or their contract plan?
So contract plan for 4 gigs.
No clue. It's weird. It's literally like probably going to be half the price of a 4-person family plan.
I
The
pay
prices are so
$60
whacked out.
a month for this phone for 4 gigs or the prepaid.
Hmm.
So I don't know how much more it'll be. So let's see, $60. I need 4 gigs on this plan. 4 gigs is $60, same exact price, plus taxes.
Yeah.
$5-6,
Right. Well, not $5-6. It's almost like $10-15.
Yeah, so that's the thing. So I'm paying less than I pay. That's with the taxes included. With the taxes and everything included, I think I'm paying like $65 a month.
Yeah, that is like you started. It's not Wow, let's go with Google because it's real nice and cheap.
But what they may end up doing is, okay, those Google phones that they have, they may
Are gonna
give
be
those
free.
away practically for free.
Yeah.
You sign up for a Project Fi account. If you get their Fi service, which if that's the case, since they're their own carrier, they're going to subsidize within. So those Google phones are going to be nearly unsubsidized pricing at like $299 instead of paying $700.
Yeah, and what they could do is not even like a contract plan, but if they did something like, hey, sign up for 6 months, we'll give you a free phone.
Yeah,
Get like the Nexus 5 and stuff.
What Google wants and what these people want is people buying new phones every year. That's what they want. The concept of getting a contract for 2 years and hanging onto your phone is kind of slowly going away. Nick, if you could get a new phone every year, would you get a new phone every year?
Yeah, well, I signed up for the AT&T plan. I'm going to get a new phone every, what is it, every 18 months, every year and a half.
Yeah, every year and a half.
Yeah.
That's what people want.
Mm-hmm.
Oh God, what is happening in front of my house?
What I like about this is that they're from what I can see, they don't have their own infrastructure yet. They're using Sprint and T-Mobile, but they're taking and using all of their Wi-Fi hotspots the same way that AT&T, when they install UVerse in somebody's house, they give you your own Wi-Fi, and they also install another Wi-Fi access point that's for other users. So they're basically building out a network, taking advantage of the bandwidth that they're putting in each home. So they're doing the same method by, you'll use Wi-Fi first as a priority, but then use the data network as a backup.
Yeah.
Are you telling me that my Wi-Fi, my service from UVerse here at the house, provides access to some other users outside?
It can. It depends on how many access points did they install in your house.
Okay. Interesting.
If you go, like several of my neighbors, I've gone in there. They have essentially their modem from AT&T, and that's got Wi-Fi built into it, and they configure that to be the network for the house that the person says, well, I'd like the SSID to be this and the security to be this. And then you see another network, another small little box. It's another access point providing just a kind of a generic numeric SSID.
Okay, so that's another piece of hardware.
It's another piece of hardware, but
Okay.
I've seen it in several homes. And the people
Interesting.
said, oh, that's what they installed. I don't know what it is. And it turns out it's another Wi-Fi network that if you have a AT&T data roaming plan, will link to that access point.
Hey, Nick, I have a question for you.
Yes.
Do you know much about advanced calling
On iOS?
on iOS or on any of
Yes.
the providers?
Yes. Wait, hold on. Let me make sure the name is right.
So on Verizon, on my phone, it's called advanced calling.
Okay.
Mike, you might find this interesting, actually.
Yeah, that's
What they
calling.
do-
That's calling somebody before you even try to call them.
yeah.
And no, it telepathically can figure out who you're trying to.
So what it does, it enables calls over LTE.
Oh, okay. No, this is something
So
different than I know.
database
Then.
calls, and it's supposed to be HD audio. That's what they call it. So
Okay.
I'm assuming it's using, a G.7. What is it, G.722 mic they're probably using?
It's probably 722. I forget which one it is, but it's not what we would call HD audio.
Yeah. It's just a higher bit rate, I guess. It's a higher quality. But I actually turned it off because I don't like the way that it sounds. It actually sounds, a telephone call, a hotline call is a telephone call, and they're not great. But with this, it loses all lows. It's very high and hissy. It sounds like an overly compressed audio feed. So I turned mine off. But with Verizon, this is the interesting thing. You could do video calls to people with this. So it has its own video calling feature. I'd like to try this with someone that has Android that has it, because I don't know anybody else that has this enabled on their phone that could actually do it.
Well, I thought you were talking about something else, Andrew. And I don't know if you've experienced this, but the iPhone has got this feature.
Yeah.
and it's called like handoff calling or something like that, and it's absolutely terrible. So what it does is it's on. So I did the update to like 8.3 or what 8.0.3, whatever their update was, and I was getting my parents' phone calls on my phone. So
that's
there's this
bizarre.
thing with iOS, and make sure if you're updated, make sure you turn it off. Let me get the name for it. If you're on a Wi-Fi network and in the same iCloud account, it literally just hands the phone calls off to the other phones.
Oh, that is bizarre.
It's awful. Like I'm just sitting here and my phone is ringing, and I have no clue what the number is, and it says my phone number is calling me, and I pick it up and it's somebody looking for like.
So where is
One
the
of my parents.
configuration screen for this? How do you configure this?
It's set up by default whenever when I did the
But
update.
no, where do you turn it off when you say?
So it's in general.
It's in iOS.
Yes, it's in iOS. It's under general.
So I'm gonna come
Let me see where it goes. It's under general handoff. And basically, there's this thing called handoff that's on. It says handoff lets you start something on a device and instantly pick it up on another device using your iCloud account.
Oh yeah, handoff. Let's see. Handoff lets you start something on one device and instantly pick it up on the other device using your iCloud account. The app you need appears in the lock screen. So but Nick, you know what this is? You probably have this one iCloud account. You haven't created a different iCloud account.
No, we're all on the same iCloud account.
Yeah, so
That's why.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
that's
I had
why.
to. So make sure you turn that off if you're all on the same iCloud account.
Yeah, so what you should do is set up a family account, and whoever the main account is, have that, and have everybody create their own individual iCloud account.
So wait, so then would we still be able to download all the same apps and stuff?
Yeah, so you still
Oh.
share it. It's all shared. So
I need to
whatever
do
app
that
you
then.
download on the main account is available on the other, and vice versa.
Yeah, I should set that up. But then so you turn that off because that fixed that problem, and then it's somewhere else in the settings too. I'm trying to find it.
I
yeah, and
already
then if you-
use this. I already use this to an extent because I have messaging on my iPad and on my Mac, so I see all messages that come in from other like iOS devices get repeated on those
Yeah.
other devices.
Mhm.
I don't have calling set up that way,
Yeah,
but I could.
it was just weird because after one of the updates, it just turned it on by itself, and it was just decided.
It's
oh,
on
hey.
mine. I updated to the latest iOS and it's turned
Yeah,
on.
and-
It
yeah.
doesn't-
I mean, it was something that my phone is ringing, and I don't even know who it is, and it doesn't indicate. It's like my own number calling me.
So I got a couple more features if you guys were interested in this phone that I think were pretty useful.
Yeah.
There's something called Download Booster, where if there's a file over 30 megs, it'll use both Wi-Fi and LTE at the same time to download it.
Okay.
Does
So
it-
I guess it combines the speed of both to kind of push the download quicker. That's one. And their battery stuff is interesting. They have something called power save mode. There's ultra power save mode and power save mode. And when you put your phone into power save mode, it'll lower the CPU performance and reduce the brightness. But if you put it into ultra power save mode, this is what it'll do. It'll actually turn your phone into black and white.
Well, that's pretty cool.
And I used this. I was on the train, so this is what happened. This is your main. This is what your phone looks like at this point.
Mhm.
You still have access to 4G and everything, so you could use phone, messages, Chrome, emergency alerts, Facebook, and Twitter. I don't know if there's more.
You might be able to configure it. I wonder.
Yeah, I think you could add a couple more apps to this. But now my battery life is almost 3 days.
Interesting.
Yeah, so this came in really handy the other day. I was stuck in the city. I was on the train, and my battery was at like 2%, or it was actually 4%. And I had to call Jess as soon as I got back to get picked up. And my phone went from having literally minutes left to having 5 hours left.
Nice.
So that's actually a really good feature that I think everybody should be, incorporating on their devices at this point, because it's an easy fix. It's easy for them to kind of do this.
Alan is asking a question. Is that iOS 8?
What I have right now,
I mean, whatever you guys are talking about.
I think yeah, Nick's issue is iOS 8. That's in iOS 8.
Yeah.
And Steve is saying Windows 7 via Chrome in the Hangout. Is that how you connected, Steve?
Yeah, that's how I'm connected. And the error message, I've never seen that before, came up. The video call ended because of authentication issues. Please wait a few moments and try again. I've never seen that before. That's weird.
Mine's doing some weird stuff too.
But your last post says Windows 7 via Chrome in the Hangout. Steve, what does that mean? You're muted if you're answering.
It's the auto mute feature.
Who are you talking to?
Steve.
Steve, yeah. He's muted.
Oh, okay.
Not anymore.
He's having some problems still. Okay.
He's showing up twice.
Yeah, that happens. It will drop the first one unless he's actually.
Hey Nick,
Oh.
I got an iOS question. How do you force a backup of your iCloud? Because it says my iPhone just said that I haven't updated in over 3 weeks.
I don't use iCloud.
You don't know that.
I don't use anything. I don't use I don't back it up on iTunes. I don't do anything with it.
You're telling me you're not backing it up to get it back?
I'm not. It is way too unreliable. I don't know where my stuff is getting backed up. I don't want my crap going onto my parents' phones. I don't trust any of it.
The problem is you don't want people to see all the dinger shots.
Oh, exactly. You got me.
I just use I back it up with iTunes directly. I don't use the cloud.
Originally when I got my phone, it's like my texts are showing up on other people's phones. I'm like, what is this crap?
You need to get your own Apple ID.
All the info is everywhere at this point. I mean, it just. I'm actually testing something right now with mine and Justin's account on our phone. But pretty much, if you have a phone and you have like a family share plan, everything is available. Your music's available. You could, set your photos to share. You can share everything with each other, and that's a little dangerous if you don't want people to see what you're doing and what you're downloading. Even apps, Nick. I mean, technically, your parents could see the apps that you're downloading.
Yeah. Well, the reason that I didn't know we could have the same iCloud account is because, like, for example, my father bought the MLB app, the 2015. You buy a new one each year, and it's like $15, and you get to listen to all the games. So it's like we're on the same account for that reason. But I didn't know you could have a family. I've been out of the iOS ecosystem since the 3GS, so I don't even think there was iCloud with the 3GS.
Are you saying that a share account on Verizon requires that you all have the same Apple ID?
No.
No. The carrier, not on the carrier.
No, but I shouldn't have anything to do with it. So why, Nick, do you have everybody on the same Apple ID?
Because Spence, I had the 3GS, and then I had 2 Android phones, and now I'm back on iOS. I had no clue. I didn't know what iCloud was. I was so completely out of the iOS ecosystem that
you wasn't aware that you could do this.
No, but
I
I
didn't know
mean,
this stuff existed.
Why are you sharing the same Apple ID?
Because when I had the 3GS, you had one Apple ID for everybody. Everybody was on the same account. There was no sharing.
I
iCloud.
get it.
So the 3GS was everybody was on the same account, but your stuff wasn't sharing over your Apple ID. It was just so that if somebody bought an app, you could also download the app and not pay for it.
Yeah, no, I understand now.
But now there's it's sharing all your stuff. So I got to set up the iOS family or cloud or whatever it's called. I just didn't know it existed.
Well, listen to this security tip. Don't back up sensitive data or your phone online. It says the cloud is supposed to be secure. This weekend, we learned not so much. If you're dealing with sensitive images, documents, or videos, it's best to keep them off all external servers. That means not allowing services like iCloud, Dropbox, Flickr, Google Drive, and others to auto-upload data to their cloud storage. Instead, keep that sensitive data on an external drive that's only accessed when you're offline. Wickr CEO and co-founder Nico Sale warns that there are all kinds of dangerous websites out there with malware that could compromise your computer and give a hacker access to your data. This also means not backing up your smartphone to the cloud. Those backups are a treasure trove of data. Everything about you is in that backup. Keep it password protected and local. So, I mean, we all back up our smartphones, but it says keep nothing on any of your devices or in the cloud that you wouldn't want the world to see. That includes Dropbox and iCloud, even if the former says no user credentials have been compromised and the latter has added a two-factor authentication requiring access to a user phone. All computer systems are vulnerable because humans write code. So you can't trust any of these services to have your backups on it. And yet, the best way to backup is to do it to an off-site server. There's a problem there. Spence, do you want to do the specials?
Why, sure.
But wait a second. Let's see if Steve wanted to say something because he was coming in and out, in and out. I don't want to ignore him. Steve?
Yeah, apologize for the
That's
beeping
okay.
that was caused with me coming in and out. I don't know what's up with my connection this morning. I think it's just trying to torment me.
Oh, okay. So I thought, but there's nothing that you wanted to talk about.
No, it just froze and kicked me out. So I missed quite a bit of what was being spoken about, which is a shame. But I'm sure I can catch up with it on the recording, which is available on computers2know.com.
Before I forget, Spence, did you send another file?
It. Well, we could go ahead with this one and just update it later because the only error in this is that the date.
The date that
shows
in
as being
the
April
that's
12th.
fine.
I
Yeah.
fixed it and sent you the new file. But
Okay.
It is today's. So for
Okay.
those of you listening directly or listening to this recorded, the PDF file on the website will be updated, but it currently is labeled April 12th, 2015 when it is actually April 25th.
Okay.
So
So go for it.
shall we proceed? All right. Starting with Office Depot, we have a HP Envy 4500 wireless printer copy scanner for $69.99. That's $30 off the regular price. We've got an HP OfficeJet 7612 printer, automatic two-sided printing, supports up to wide format. This will print up to 13 by 19 inch documents, which is the widest I've ever seen. I only thought they did up to 11 by 17, but that's where do I find 13 by 19 paper? That's the question. $179, that's $70 off. Brother MFC L2700DW. This is a wireless laser printer scanner fax, and we'll do also automatic duplex printing. $129 saves $70. Great price on that printer. Excuse me. HP Pavilion laptop with that is a detachable screen, so it's a tablet as well as a laptop. This is a 10-inch screen, 2 gig of memory, 32 gig storage on it. Not a heavy hitter when it comes to performance, but great for casual use. $100 off for $249.99. Logitech MK550 wireless keyboard wave mouse combo for $59.99. That's $20 off. They've also got the MK710. This is the even more enhanced version of this keyboard for $79.99. That's $20 off. APC battery backup UPS 700 VA for $89.99, save $10. Lexar 32 gig USB 3.0 drive, thumb drive, $19.99, save $25. They've got the 16 gig version of this for $12.99 to save $3. 64 gig for $39.99, save $35. Got a couple of monitors on sale. Got a Dell 24-inch LED monitor for $149.99, save $80. 27-inch Acer LED monitor for $179.99, save $70. We've got a Lenovo Android 4.2 tablet/keyboard. This has got 16 gig of storage. This is $229.99, save $70. We've got SanDisk Ultra Plus SDHC or micro SDHC cards, 16 gig for $14.99. That's $45 off the regular price. 32 gig for $24.99, save $55. 64 gig for $49.99, save $50, half off. And we have a HP TouchSmart 15 laptop with Core i3 processor. This has got 4 gig of memory, 500 gig hard drive for $379.99, $170 off the regular price. Samsung Galaxy Tab 4, 8-inch with 16 gig of memory for $199.99, save $50. That also comes with a $10 gift card. And finally, with Office Depot Office Max, we have the Brother MFC 8700 DW, automatic two-sided printing, wireless printer, scanner, fax, copier. It's an inkjet. $119.99, save $30. Moving on to staples. We've got an Asus laptop with Intel processor. This is an entry-level machine, but the price is what will get you. $179.99, save $70. 11.6-inch screen. It's a small machine, but still fine for casual use, coffee table use, checking email, roaming around, whatever. Toshiba laptop with Core i7. This is a 15.6-inch machine, 12 gig of memory, 1 terabyte hard drive, $599.99. That's $300 off the regular price. Samsung Color wireless laser printer. Gosh, it's so cheap. $114.99, save $115. It is half price. So really, it would be cheaper to buy a new printer when the supplies run out than it would be to go out and buy the supplies. But if you do need a laser color printer, take a look at this Samsung machine. We've got a Dell touchscreen laptop, Intel Core i5, 8 gig of memory, 1 terabyte hard drive, 14-inch screen, $549.99. That's $200 off. Got a couple of keyboards from Logitech. The K400, this is the multimedia keyboard that's got the touchscreen built in, ideal for multimedia environments. $24.99, save $15. Got the Logitech illuminated keyboard for $59.99, save $20. Good deal on a Dell 23-inch widescreen LED monitor, $149.99, save $50. 4 terabyte Seagate Backup Plus USB 3.0 desktop hard drive with mobile device backup support for $139.99, save $10. 5 terabytes for $149.99, save $50. Got an AMD A10 desktop. This has got 12 gig of memory, 2 terabyte hard drive, $479.99, save $70. It's a Windows 8 machine. Roku 3 streaming media player. This is the Roku, I think it's the latest generation. $89.99, save $10. We've got a Toshiba Encore Mini 7-inch Windows 8 tablet, $94.90. 7-inch screen, 16 gig of memory. Got 2 monitors, AOC 24-inch widescreen, $139.99, save $40. AOC 27-inch widescreen, $199.99, save $50. And finally, we have a 3 terabyte Seagate Personal Cloud storage device. This is a network attached storage, 3 terabytes for $169.99. That's at Staples. We should talk about this when we get done, about they're finally starting to ship the Core M processors. This is the Broadwell new mobile chipset from Intel, starting to show up in devices now. But we can chat about that at the end of the specials. Kindle Fire HD7, $99.99, save $40. They're starting to discount this device. I think they got some new ones that'll be appearing soon. Digiland 7-inch 8 gig Android tablet, $49.99. Buy it for the kids and let them break it. Cheap enough. Lenovo, this is the machine I wanted to talk about later. Yoga 3, this is the one that's a convertible tablet / laptop, 13-inch screen with the Intel Core M processor. Now what that allows is that there's no fan necessary, so it does allow a much smaller device. No major heating issues and cooling issues, but it does not mean it's the best performer. What they're saying is you get better battery life out of it on a much smaller device. They're expensive. $1,199.99 for this Core M Lenovo laptop. We've got this is a deal. Lenovo 15.6-inch laptop with an AMD A8 quad-core processor, $299.99. That is a good deal. It's not a touchscreen. Lenovo desktop AMD A10 processor with 12 gig of memory, 2 terabyte hard drive, $729.99, save $70. Targus chill mat with laptop cooling system with 4-port USB hub, $39.99, save $10. HP 21.5-inch LED monitor for $129.99, save $20. AOC 27-inch LED monitor for $179.99, save $20. These are great devices. I've actually looked at these in a store. I have one similar to this. It's much older. Logitech surround system, 5.1 surround system. It's a 6-piece set, 5 speakers plus a subwoofer, $59.99. That's $40 off the regular price. Logitech G700S rechargeable laser gaming mouse for $64.99, save $35. I think I would need an instruction course on how to set this thing up. It's got so many options. Logitech G710 Plus mechanical gaming keyboard for $99.99, save $30. Logitech H540 on-the-ear USB headset for $32.99, save $17. Got a HP Envy 4500 wireless all-in-one printer, inkjet printer, $69.99, save $30. Brother 920DW wireless duplex mobile color page scanner. This is has a built-in battery. Can also run off USB. $149.99, save $50. And finally, I was intrigued by the Samsung Gear Fit fitness watch with heart rate monitor, and everybody likes the Fitbit. I see a lot of people wearing that with the tiny display, but this actually has quite a sophisticated color screen on it. $119.99, save $30. So I assume because it's Samsung, it's got to be attached to a Samsung phone, but I don't know that for sure. It seems to have plenty of information on it itself as far as fitness monitoring. So that's $30 off the regular price.
I don't know,
it
but
Best Buy. Does it stand alone?
It looks like it's got a button on the left side, like to the left of 12.
Yeah.
And I was thinking maybe it's just an Etch-a-Sketch and you just slide it to the right.
Yeah,
and
that's it. No, it's actually a very sophisticated HD television receiver. That's a side feature there.
It looks like it's curved. I wonder if it's just the
I think
picture.
the screen is slightly curved, yeah.
Weird screen now. We have widescreen. What do you call this?
I was attracted by the price. So.
All right.
And that's it.
Very, very good, senor.
So, Amnon,
Yes, sir.
I have a domain name that I am considering selling, and it would be of interest to a company that has that very domain name. They, in fact, have the domain name with a 1 after it. But the problem is that under the law, if you offer a domain name for sale, there are certain conditions under which that gives the company standing to file a uniform dispute resolution policy case against you and take that domain name away from you. Are you aware of that?
Yeah, if you have Ford.com and you're not doing anything with it, and then you say, okay, I'm going to sell it, then Ford can come up and sue you and take that because it's their name. As long as you keep it and it's yours, and even though you're not doing anything with it, it's yours. You registered it, it's lawfully yours. But if you try to sell it now, then they can come after you.
That triggers standing that they potentially can take it away from you under certain circumstances. So I'm part of a lawyer listserv that has 4,000 lawyers on it. Some of them are some very good copyright trademark attorneys. And I posted a hypothetical question to the list, and a very astute attorney up in Virginia responded that said, if the business shares your name and you traded before it did, then there is a case you might want to read. The result will surprise you.
Yeah, that's the Nissan.
Guess which case?
Nissan, yeah.
Nissan Motors v. Nissan Computers.
I don't think that it has to be that you were trading it before. If they did not, I mean, obviously Nissan was there before Uzi's was there, but they did not register it.
Well, what was interesting is I responded. I said, well, Uzi and his brother Amnon are good friends of mine, and I said, there's more to the story.
Yeah, but the thing is now. So what are you going to do?
Well, but hang on, I'm not done.
Okay.
And so anyway, the guy who originally posted said, seriously, when you get a chance, do tell us about it. I love the outcome to the case and the way he fought. A little bit of humor, a little bit of sarcasm, and a whole lot of fight. He has no clue, does he?
No.
I think I'll get you and Uzi on a Google Hangout with some of these guys. They'd love to ask about it.
Yeah. But so what are you going to do? So what are you going to do? So
what do you mean, what are you going to do? I don't know what I'm going to do yet.
I mean, so that means you cannot sell it.
What means I can't sell it?
Yeah, that means that you cannot sell that domain name.
Why can't I sell it?
Because if you put it out for sale, they can come after you.
Not if I registered it before any of the people who might want it did.
No. The key here is, that's right, they cannot come after you now, but if you offer it for sale,
they still can't come after it legitimately. That's one of the reasons that Uzi won, is because he had the name before they even existed.
Right. But the key there was, it's not for sale. If he would have put it to sale, it would be a different outcome.
Not now, it would not. The problem with Uzi, and this is what, whenever people talk to their lawyers and ask about, I want to fight this, I want to fight that, the one of the standard answers is, do you want to be the reported case on this topic? And they say, what do you mean? Well, there is not a case that we can go refer to and say, look, this is how it's going to turn out.
Yeah.
And so the first impression gets to be the reported case. Do you want to be the reported case? The answer is no. The answer is always no, because you can spend $1 million doing it.
Yeah, I think at this point, I would probably, if I were you, I would probably approach the company and say, look, guys, I have it. And I was using it. I'm not using it anymore. I'm thinking about maybe selling it to somebody that can use it. You came first to mind. Would you like to have it? And I mean, how much do you think you can sell it for?
I have no idea.
I mean, I don't know many people that can use that.
There are about 5 companies that probably would love to have it.
Oh,
Mike, I have some experience with this. I sold a domain name for about $5,000 a couple of years ago.
Mm-hmm.
I've noticed that I have a lot of good domains too, and it depends on who you bought the domain from, if they're going to be offers. Like with GoDaddy, I get offers all the time for my domain names, because they have a good system for buying and selling domain names to their own, customers. Other ones like Covered, they don't really have that good of a relationship when it comes to that. But I get at least 2 offers a year to buy a domain.
Yeah, this is GoDaddy. But there are some domain names. I mean, I've had some that I've had some offers, and I've sold a couple. But in every case, I've sold it to someone who was going to use it, not to a cyber squatter. And I probably took a lot less money as a result from it. But I detest cyber squatters. I detest people who grab names just to keep them away from other people.
Right.
And whereas I certainly don't want to sell a $5,000 domain name for $5, I'm not looking to get $250,000 out of a domain that's worth $5,000. I'd take it, but that would have to be an offer on the other side. I'd never try to hold somebody out for something like that.
okay.
So I don't know. We'll see. I just thought it was cute that they're going to tell me about the Uzi
Yeah.
case. I remember sitting at your house one night, Uzi and I talked about it for 2 hours. He ought to write a book. There are probably 50 people that would read it.
So let's talk a little bit about that Comcast Time Warner failed merger. I mean, I know there's not much information out there, but we can.
I think we already knew this. Honestly, I don't think anybody legitimately thought that this was going to go through.
Yeah, I'm not surprised either. I
mean, from
I
day
was
one, it just
suspicious
seemed
from
like-
the beginning that was going to go through. It was just too big.
Yeah.
I mean, the interesting thing is that the government didn't say anything yet other than we want to talk to you about this. And Comcast say, okay, you know what? We're backing out of this.
I wonder if logistics-wise they looked at it and they saw what it would take for them to take it over, and it just wouldn't have been worth it. When you're talking about merging two completely different cable systems together.
And does that mean that it's going to cause Time Warner to not be as competitive as they, or as that they're not going to do for us what they said they were going to do at this point, that they're not going to be part of Comcast? Does that mean that they're not going to raise the speeds? Does that mean that they're going to go back to their old ways? I mean, they changed a little bit in the last 2 years since.
There's still no competition. I mean, what?
Right.
Even if they merged with Comcast, there would have been a lot. I mean, there would have been the same amount of competition.
Right, but they can say that, oh, we're going to do this. We're going to, remember they were saying that they were going to upgrade everybody for no additional cost and all that. And that was just, I guess, part of getting more people to Time Warner, so the deal will look nice to Comcast. But now that there is no deal, is that going to change? I'm wondering. I would think that they are not going to do for the user what they said that they were going to do, because there's no incentive at this point.
Because they talked about this stuff prior to Comcast. I mean, the Comcast thing may have brought it to light a little bit more, but it's not. I mean, I'm pretty sure they had these plans before Comcast.
I don't remember them saying that they were going to upgrade everybody before Comcast.
Well, they started talking about upgrading right after Google Fiber rolled out in Kansas City.
Yeah,
in trying to sweeten the deal and make the right noises for the hopeful outcome. I don't think they're going to change.
Yeah, well, I guess we're just going to have to wait and see. But it's interesting that I wish I was a fly on the wall at that meeting where Comcast decided to back out of it before even talking to the FTC.
I guess they realized it was going to be too much trouble.
Yeah, they saw the writing on the wall. Rather than spend fortunes of money to try and push it through, they realized it was going to cost them too much for little.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
So now we have to wait for Google and in our area and RST and AT&T to upgrade before we see Time Warner doing anything, I think.
I think the more suppliers there are, the better chance you've got of competition.
Sure.
It's certainly the case here in the UK. The more ISPs, the more service providers you have, the better competition it is, and the lower the prices go. So the consumer wins overall.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they win too, but competition's good.
Competition is always good. I mean, there's nothing like competition. Okay. I'm out of stories.
I have a question. Maybe people can recommend by personal recommendation. I'm looking to build a personal cloud storage device. Now, I know you have the Lenovo 2-bay
Yeah,
storage device.
that
NAS device,
Lenovo
but
thing. Yeah.
yeah, what I'm looking for is something that's got friendly mobile device backup. Doesn't necessarily have to be across the cloud per se. I'm not looking to do it across, you know, wired. I'm sorry, broadband data. I'd rather just do it at home, so that's not an issue. But I'm looking for something that's friendly that will.
Are you?
The issue I'm running into is just having enough. Every time I want to go ahead and free up some space on my phone by downloading pictures or whatever, I have to connect it to iTunes, and it's just a pain in the butt. I'd rather be able to just do it on the fly more easily. I don't want to use the cloud. The Apple
I'm
cloud.
wondering. I never tried, but I don't know what happens if I hook the phone to the network or to a computer here. If I see the NAS as another drive and just copy stuff to it. I mean, I never offloaded anything because I don't keep anything on it.
Yeah, I mean, I have no.
But-
I could easily set up a network drive. That's not what I'm looking for. I'm looking for one. I'm looking for the app. I'm looking for one that does a good job of making it very simple. I want multiple people to use it. I don't have any problem doing manual things myself, but I'd
If you
like
make
just
it too easy, it's going to
simple
be
backup.
vulnerable too.
Well, when I mean easy, it's like I said, it's going to be in the home only. It's not going to be outside.
And you want people to do it remotely.
No, I don't need it. What I'm saying is I want to be able to say, open the app up, back up my phone easily, back up Pam's phone easily,
But-
iOS.
But you're talking about doing it from somewhere else, not
No,
while
I'm
you're
not-
at
that's what
home.
I'm saying that's not a requirement.
Oh, well,
Home
so
is
what's
fine.
wrong?
They do-
So what's wrong with the network drive?
Nothing except that I want to find an app that makes it easy. I want to know that, like, for example, Western Digital and Seagate both have personal cloud storage devices. Want to know about the app. How easy is the app? I want to find somebody who has experience using one of these devices. I'm looking at reviews. Western Digital has better reviews than the first generation of Seagate. Seagate has about 50-50 1-star and 5-star reviews on Amazon. But the Western Digital ones are more expensive for the same storage, but they have much better reviews.
Is that the WD My
So-
Cloud that you're talking about?
Yeah. I just wonder what it says. Oh yeah, load the app and do very easy automatic backups and all that. So well, how easy is it? So, I mean, I'll buy one and play around with it. I'll send it back if it doesn't work the way I want it to. But the failure rates on the Seagate ones, the original first generation ones from 2013, were terrible.
Seagate drives have high failure rates in general, I think. At least in my experience, they do.
I've been watching. I pay attention to the failure rates for drives, and they seem to bounce back and forth. Hitachi is still the highest, but Seagate and Western Digital seem to bounce back and forth as to who has. As they introduce a new generation drive, they have problems, and they fix it, and then it gets better.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I'm looking at something around the 3 to 4 terabyte range. The Seagate ones are their prices are great. I mean, you can get a 3 terabyte for, this is the first generation one, for 4 terabyte for $134, which is cheap.
There's going to be one question I was going to ask this week is a few weeks ago somebody was saying about steering clear of either the 3 or the 4 terabytes because they was having problems with them, and I can't remember which one it was, or was it a 5 terabyte? I'm looking to upgrade. I've got a Zyxel single bay NAS at the moment with a terabyte drive in it, and I'm looking to upgrade, get another NAS and put something like a 4 terabyte, but I couldn't remember whether it was the 3, 4, or 5 that people were saying steer clear of.
Who makes that NAS, Dave?
Zyxel,
Spell that?
ZYXEL.
Okay, Zyxel, yes, yeah. they're actually a manufacturer of a lot of other devices for other companies. They're a rebrander.
Oh, this stuff's cheap.
It's very
They
cheap.
were
I
when-
bought this Zyxel with. I was looking for a terabyte drive, and it was actually cheaper to buy this with a terabyte drive than it was to buy the equivalent hard drive. They threw the NAS in free, more or less.
Yeah, here's a 2-drive Zyxel drive for $106 on Amazon. Can't beat that. And it's so my boss bought a Drobo. It's a four. For whatever reason, he decided not to tell me that he was going to buy a Drobo because I would have told him not to get one. So he spends like $400 on this Drobo. It doesn't even have a network port.
Very expensive.
Very expensive. Very slow, and it doesn't have a network port. I mean,
How does it
what kind
connect?
of USB.
Oh,
What kind of $400 NAS doesn't have a freaking network port? I mean, seriously?
Well, how can you call it a NAS if it doesn't have a network port?
Good question. It's like the Drobo 4D or something, and it doesn't have a network port. It's got just a standard USB 3 port. Like
Wow.
what a colossal waste.
What were they thinking?
Well, my boss is not an idiot. That's the problem. Hires a tech savvy guy to help him with his tech stuff, and then just starts buying stuff. What are you gonna do?
so Western Digital is up to purples?
I thought black was the highest or the darkest color.
Yeah, but then they came with the red that's like for enterprise, for NAS and stuff.
I think the green's the slowest drives. They're
Yeah.
5400, aren't they? Which are
Right.
The greenest drive. Then the reds are for NAS, and I think the black is for desktop, isn't it?
Yeah, black's your traditional desktop.
And then they had the yellow, which was enterprise drive. It was,
They still make those?
I don't know. That's why I said they
haven't-
had, because
I haven't
I
seen
guess
yellow for a while.
when
Maybe
they came out with the reds, that means no more yellow. But I mean, purple, I've never heard about purple.
Are you
That's interesting.
colorblind by any chance, Alan?
I said I haven't heard about purples.
I haven't either. I've been looking recently because, as I say, I want to get a bigger drive because this 1 terabyte drive's full, and I've got lots of 500 and 750s and other drives. I think this is just ridiculous. Why don't I just store everything in one device that I can connect to easily? So I'm looking probably for a 2-box or 2-bay device that will take 4 terabytes in one bay and 4 in another for future expansion.
That Lenovo one that I have, that was on Amazon for like $60 or something like that. It works great, but it did not want to work with 2 terabyte Western Digital. It's
okay with Seagate though, is it?
It's supposed to be, yeah.
This
I mean,
is the
it's
problem.
working.
You need to look at all the support forums in order to
Yeah,
find out whether is this drive going to work or not. Otherwise,
Right.
you're going to waste a couple of hours trying to figure out why it's not working, only to realize after hunting through the internet that all those drives don't like it.
right. Alan, the difference in the colors are not just it's got to do something with the speed, but it's mainly what that drive was targeted for and its reliability. And
Is it designed to be on 24/7,
Right.
or is it only designed to be accessed, occasionally?
right. The green is 5400 RPM, and the rest of them are mainly 7200 RPM, and there may be some of them that are 10,000, although I doubt it. Yeah, for NAS, if you're trying to do something for 24/7, then the red ones these days are
Yeah.
the
Do
ones.
not get a
to-
Drobo. Not get a Drobo. Whatever you do, I don't care who you talk to, do not get a Drobo.
Yeah.
They are overpriced and they're slow. The 5-bay drive is $500.
Phew.
The idea of a Drobo is very good, but the pricing is unbelievable.
Yeah, I mean, I cannot believe that they sell a 4-bay drive without a network port, and that is just the most absurd thing I've ever I've ever seen. You might as well just plug in a.
All right.
Nick, we have the same color shirt.
Wonderful.
Blue.
Oh.
Oh, they're just like twins.
No, hopefully not.
This is the set for my new podcast, The Cooking Show.
Are you gonna do a Patreon?
Yeah. We're
Spring
gonna cook
onions.
a banana. We're gonna cook bananas, potatoes, and onions. We're gonna make it into a dish.
What would be your Patreon perks if you were to do this show?
I eat a raw potato every week. The raw, uncooked potato.
You're going to be a potato head.
It's good roughage.
And I smack a tomato on myself.
For how much, Andrew?
$2.
Oh, no, that's a great deal.
It's a
I should get
bargain.
on
Do you swallow it whole?
Of course.
So before we sign off, Andrew, tell everybody about GFQ.
GFQnetwork.com. We do a bunch of shows every week. I do a tech show. I do a pro wrestling podcast. We do a hair loss show. We have everything you want and more.
And it's at gfqnetwork.com.
GFQnetwork.com.
Okay. And
We'll do a fitness show soon.
a what?
A fitness show.
Fitness show?
Yeah. You're gonna watch. It's gonna be called Morning Calisthenics with Andrew Zarian.
Okay.
Every morning at 6 o'clock, I do yoga and stretches, and
That sounds like an awful idea.
it's gonna be wonderful.
You getting up at 6 o'clock every morning? I don't think so, Andrew.
I get up every morning, 6 o'clock.
Wow.
Yeah, he's not
He
lying.
goes back to bed at 6:15.
Yeah, 6:05.
And Nick, tell us about your podcast.
I don't do a podcast.
Tell us about the Infection Podcast.
InfectionPodcast.com. There you go.
All right, so Nick does.
Yeah, man, it's been the same for the last.
I know,
said every
so
week. We
that's
have the
what
same
you
last-
do. That's what you do. It's
I said
been
it.
the same.
InfectionPodcast.com. That's all there is to say. There's nothing else
Okay,
to say.
fine.
There you go.
Anybody else has any other announcements?
Nick, you're awful at giving a plug.
Every week I spend like 15 minutes on the show.
Explain what it is, and that it's the #1 podcast about it getting infections and not touching dirty things.
Exactly.
Next week, we're talking about tuberculosis.
Mhm.
Is that the wrong podcast?
No, it's the right one. You got it.
The #1 podcast for the N1Z1? H1Z1?
There we go.
H1N1.
What'd you say, Mike?
H1N1.
H1N1, yeah. No, is it? No, it's not. What is it, Nick?
InfectionPodcast.com. Just go there.
No, what's the game name?
H1Z1.
H1Z1.
It
Oh,
just
I thought it was the podcast for NE1.
That's why I don't bother explaining it. Just go to the website and figure it out. If you're confident.
Okay,
if you
fine.
manage to stumble upon this show, you should hopefully be able to get to that website.
Infectionpodcast.com. All right. Well, that's it for today. Unless anybody else wants to. Going
I'd like to
once.
say I've had a really good time today, so I'm going to. I've had a really good time today.
Good. We did too.
And it just goes good. You should have had a good time.
A
All
splendid
right.
time was had by all.
Thanks, everybody. And good morning, Kathy, Hannah, Nabil, Mac, Norm, Katie, and Donna. Thanks, everybody, for tuning to Computers 2K Now. We hope you enjoyed and maybe learned something from our time together. Remember to practice safe computing. Back up your hard drive and update your virus scanner. We'll be back here next Sunday at 9. But you can always reach us at computers2know.com. While you're at it, like us on Facebook, subscribe to our YouTube channel. There's no brunch with Gisela today, but tonight at 8, it's the Tanya Love Show. See you, everybody.
tuned to the Nissan Communications Network. Our weekly lineup of call-in programs includes Computers 2K Now with Amnon Nissan, Health In with Debbie Bruck, Breaking Free with Marilyn Shannon, Lessons of Vietnam with NCBVI members, The Tanya Love Show, Your Healthy Pet with Gisela DiCarlo. And if you tuned in too late, you can always watch each program in its entirety or download an MP3 audio file of it at www.nissancommunications.com. Sponsored by Atomus.com, makers of quality video recorders and converters for professionals, CarolinaApparel.com, and DeltaForce.net.